Welcome back, boys and girls. This is Officer Dan and crew with another Gktech install. Today we will be tackling something that you've probably been made fun of for at least once in your life as a car dude. That's right. Fitment. Maybe you really want to get proper drift car fitment? Enter the ever so simple crappy offset wheel fixing spacers from Gktech. Speaking of spacers, Gktech has been selling these since the very start, which means well over a decade, and that's 10 years by the way. Not only have we expanded the spacer range, making the spaces between sizes more incremental, we've not rested on our haunches thinking they were just fine, and we've innovated and made them even better. If you can't find a spacer to work with for your situation, we aren't sure what to tell you there, Chief. Now here are some fun facts about our ever-increasing spacer lineup. These spacers are all meant for the 114.3 PCD in both 4 and 5 stud versions. Our spacers are all designed around the Nissan 66.1mm hubs and are all made of the proven and often stated 6061 T6 aluminum, making them strong yet lightweight. Now peep the spread that has been painstakingly laid out before us, and we can see our full range. Starting from the I bought the right offset wheels and I just need a few millimeters to achieve good fitment, to the bro, I got these for free, quit harshing my mellow plus 50 Johnnies. Speaking of the smallest spacer we offer, I'll go over our slip-on spacer line which fit both 4 and 5 lug hubs. This would be our 3mm joint. It's still hub-centric, but because it's so small, it does not have the protruding lip like the others. The OEM hub should have plenty of room to hold the 3mm spacer right where it should go, with room for the wheel as well. Next up in the line is the 5mm version. This one does cover that OEM hub lip, so we have included one at no extra charge to keep all those things nice and hub-centric. Now, because 5mm is so thin, we had to bump up the wheel bore diameter on these, so they go from a 66.1, which is snug to the hub, to 73mm on the outside, so make sure your wheel suits that size before purchasing. Just to let you know, that's a pretty damn common bore, however. Next up in this smorgasbord of space is the 8mm type, and again in the essence of science and safety, the hub bore has been increased from 66.1 to that 73mm bore size. Then we have the ever so popular 10mm slip-on wheel spacer, which is currently being wiggled with precision and ease by Zach. This is the last of the slip-ons that will go from 66.1 to 73mm, so keep that tidbit of info in mind. Now moving on to the I still have okay fitment but could dial it in more, and I have vastly expanded wheel studs and need to get fitted ASAP, the 15mm unit. This one's thick enough to go from 66.1 to, you guessed it, 66.1, making it hub bore correct for all you purists out there. Now if your hub bore is a different size, do not fret, child, we have many options of hub-centric rings to suit your application. All you need to do is slip the hub-centric ring onto the spacer and Bob's your uncle. I've conveniently talked about this in a sweet vid we filmed in the middle of nowhere, Japan, so go give that a check out. Now ladies and gentlemen, the exclusive bloodline of the slip-on spacers ends here with the fat daddy of all the slippy boys, and I'm talking about thick with 2 C's, the 20mm slip-on spacer. Now, whilst you may get away with running OEM studs with the 3 to 5mm spacers, which we still do not recommend as we value you keeping your wheels on the car, then you should have the biggest, longest, baddest studs you can find and or fit to your hubs. And by the way, we sell those. Not saying, just saying. We've also done an install on those as well, so give that a peep. Now, if changing out your wheel studs for long boys is too much effort and you're lazy AF and or you want to stay OEM length for some reason, enter the bolt-on version of our spacey boys. Keep in mind we are only showing the 5 lug variants, but these do come in 4 lug as well. Our shortest bolt-on spacer comes in at 15mm, and it comes with tiny nuts as not to protrude and or mark your wheels. This also has the hub bore throughput of 66.1 to 66.1, so it is 100% Nissan hub-centric correct. Now, all of our bolt-on spacers utilize this technology, so I can finally freaking stop talking about it. Now remember the extended studs I talked about which you were too lazy to install earlier? Well, these bolt-on Johnnies will provide you with the long dudes post-haste. Keeping that spacer train rolling, we have the 20mm bolt-on spacer, which is the most popular bolt-on we have to offer. Not a whole lot more to say other than it spaces wheels 20mm out. Moving right along to a much requested dial in that credit card holding fitment, 20mm is too small, but 30mm is too big, we have our 25mm bolt-on guy, which, again, spaces your wheels out 25mm. Next, we start to get into the damn those wheels are so cheap, I'd probably buy them even though I know they have a 0% chance of looking good without spacer territory. We have the 30mm choice. Next up, we have I bought some wheelbarrow wheels, but I still want the dankest of fitment, and or I bought the second largest wide body kit I could, and a real set of wheels for $8,000, 40mm style spacers. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, the most space that space has to offer, I am going to SEMA with a 150mm wide body and Bluetooth drive shaft installed and EDAT fitment, the 50mm bolt-on spacer. Side note, Zach has been known to throw a few sets of these on a bar and bench press those suckers at lunch for them gains. Now lastly but not leastly, we have our 8-piece adjustable spacer set for those that have a large collection of wheels that need different spacing to still look fresh AF, with each installed easily. And or these are just for people who can't do math and figure out offset properly. You can make up to 9 different widths with these to make up for your lack of mathematical skill. We also have a dope install video for all the possibilities that these have to offer, so check that out. All of the bolt-on spacers come with nuts to secure them to the hubs, so rest easy young lad. Plus you can choose from a large variety of flavors of lug nuts to spice up your wheel's life. Sheesh with all the linkage already, guys. Onwards and upwards to some handy dandy facts about these upper class spacers that set us apart from the peasant / middle class style spacers that abound. Firstly, ours use 10.9 grade studs, which are also extended for your pleasure. These can be cut down to suit for those of you that don't like studs poking past lugs, so if you did need to say toss 3mm on top to make it perfecto, you can, because extended studs. Sup. The back side of these really make them shine, where we have ovaled the other end of the stud, unlike many others, that will resist spinning to the max, just in case you forget to apply some of that anti-seize and your nut has indeed seized. We also have these as spares for you to replace as well. As mentioned about 150 times in the video, these are hub centric, which just means it fits the hub perfectly for a no slop engagement and the utmost in safety, in air quotes of course. Now that my voice is gone from talking so much, let's install these finally. Remove the poorly fitting, bad offsetting wheel from the car how you see fit. In our case, this wheel fits decently, so we're just going to add some spacers for added track width and or stability. As you can see, this car already has extended wheel studs, so good on them for that. That means we could use a slip-on spacer if we wanted to, as we are demoing now. However, we want this to be a bolt-on affair, so bolt-on it shall be. Once the bolt-on is on, now finger thread the spacer nuts onto the studs unless you like to party, in which case by all means go ahead and cross-thread them suckers on with the old 900 foot-pound impact you just got. Now, tighten those down in a crisscross pattern, making sure everything is snugged evenly, then get a friend or the brick you painted as a friend in the car and stomp the brakes, then torque them down to the specs shown right here on this screen. Since Zach has been bench pressing spacers, he can now lift the much better fitting wheel onto those extended studdy boys with ease. Again, install the nuts by hand, then tighten in a crisscross pattern with your zap gun, then have that brick friend hit the stoppers, and then torque those bad boys down in a crisscross pattern to the torque specs shown on the screen. Enjoy having your buds not make fun of you as much for just a little while at least. And speaking of making fun of people, this is us. We are Gktech. We all make fun of each other profusely for many things, but more importantly, we love to drive and also make dank how-to vids for you to consume on the weekly. If you can't install spacers, I have zero hope for you surviving in the car world. Have a pro do it for some reason, and or reach out to us with any questions you may have. This has been Officer Dan, Johnny Caps, Joshy Josh, and French Press Zach with another Gktech How To. Peace.